For the record, the only reason his younger brother Netanyahu became prime minister is because of Israelis' sympathy vote for his brother's death in Uganda. A death that the maniac prime minister has milked to the bone, to the point of reportedly recently changing his own son's name to Yoni in a probable attempt to milk the brother's bones some more of whatever remains after his ongoing genocide and the international war criminal status has destroyed the name Netanyahu that is now synonymous with evil and the disturbing Gaza Holocaust and the killing of children. First of all, I don't think this is the time to do any whitewashing of a brutal, genocidal, racist apartheid state whose lunatics are butchering children for fun, raping women, killing journalists and burying aid workers alive, while we welcome them in Uganda for statue memorials of those who chose war rather than peace. I say they chose war rather than peace because if Israel chose a rescue attack rather than a peaceful hostage swap, as had been agreed by the time the IDF embarked for Entebbe, then who is the one who took whose people hostage first? I repeat, they agreed on a hostage swap. So who had already taken hostages by the time the Palestinians asked for a hostage swap? And what did anyone do for those Palestinian hostages after the IDF mission in Entebbe? Hostages whom the deranged Israelis had probably been sodomizing for years before the Entebbe crisis, detained in the notorious Israeli concentration camps that surpass in cruelty anything the Nazis did at Auschwitz, and then pretending that the Israelis are the victims. Yet Israel is the one that has been conducting a perennial hideous hate campaign of genocide and ethnic cleansing against the poor local population since 1947. 80 years to today, without a single democracy in the world condemning this unparalleled Caucasian savagery that never stops. No matter how many millions of people took to the streets for almost 3 years now around the world, literally begging them to stop killing people, the monsters refuse to stop killing people. And lastly, if international law says that every single Palestinian, even a child born today, has the inalienable right to resist the Israeli monsters, then by this utmost logic, who are the actual terrorists, cannibals and savages here? And secondly, who are the only ones who actually have the right to defend themselves? You will not allow any empty propaganda fool you if you just use your own logical thinking rather than swallowing all the stinking diarrhea of the Zionists, their media, and all the allies that they have enslaved through blackmail and depraved pedophilia sex tapes. We have to speak the hard truth if there is ever going to be a resolution of a problem. All the malicious Israeli censorship around the world is designed for letting their evil plans continue undisturbed, while not resolving anything. In fact, making things worse for everybody, including in rising cost of living because of the wars they instigate, while imposing a global Israeli dictatorship that is simply crushing people's freedoms to criticize their beastly actions, as they do everything to obstruct international justice from holding them accountable for all the evil they've done to their victims. And what is Uganda, the current non-aligned movement chair, a movement that stands against colonialism? What are we Ugandans doing whitewashing Israel and its deranged modern-day colonialism savages? When the whole of humanity is condemning Israel's barbarity, Israel's lawlessness, Israel's ghastly slaughter of children for fun, and the famine deliberately created by Israel to starve to death over 2 million people out of sheer hate. Clearly there is a problem when we do not have ideologues in Africa anymore to understand the full scope of anything about Africa's place in global geopolitics. This lack of Pan-Africanist ideology and the lack of knowledge of where we stand in values while still being confused by religion like when the colonialists first arrived is exactly what enables stupidity to continue happening in Africa, where genocidal war criminals find a sanctuary made of local ignorance. Yet I can say with confidence that the people of Uganda do not stand with genocide. And even our ancestors already rejected our country being turned into Israel by the British back in 1927. Those erecting Netanyahu's statue in Uganda today are doing so individually, not with any consent or approval of the people of this country, or of the people of Africa for that matter. Call on Israel to release the 10,000 Palestinian hostages who are currently being sodomized by lunatic Israeli savages in their brutal Israeli concentration camps. Why has everyone left these poor defenseless peasants to suffer? But we are quick to cry crocodile tears when the Palestinians retaliate by taking Israelis just to instigate a hostage swap. What is wrong with everyone in this world whom it seems have been turned intellectually myopic by Western disinformation and Israeli propaganda? all based on hate, supremacist bigotry, and the same old apartheid racism behind Western governments' global geopolitics and their dangerous Hitlerian world domination ambitions that have led them to slaughter together over 6 million people in the Middle East in the last 30 years alone on Netanyahu's orders, while being the insidious secret state sponsors of Islamist terrorism in Africa and around the world, as was revealed on 25th February 2025 in the US Congress, including instigating against their own citizens who have had enough of being dragged into Netanyahu's wars and dying in Israel's madness. Let them take their statue to their family cemetery in Poland, where they are actually from. Yes, Uganda should offer that statue to the people of Poland. Those are their people. These are people who went to the Middle East and are now the single biggest threat to global peace and security, while their countries of origin keep mysteriously quiet. It is actually concerning to see a Ugandan making ceremonials to a person for killing Ugandans whose only job was to try and solve the crisis peacefully and let both sides get their people back. We do not believe in the bias that we still see being upheld by the same governments that practice colonialism, who are now the Epstein governments that are accomplices in genocide, promoting Israeli impunity, yet claiming to preach values of democracy, equality, and human rights to Africans. One has to be either intellectually deficient or completely evil to stand with world history's serial killers, just as they are slaughtering people around the corner, and then pretending to smile with us when they are done, when in reality we are also on the cannibals' menu, but we just don't know it yet until it's too late. In regards to a truly lasting peaceful resolution, I urge for the end to the two-state apartheid bigotry that only racists can think is a solution. South Africa proved otherwise. The situation needs to return to a nation where all Christians, Jews, and Muslims live together in one democracy. One democracy. That is the situation that existed for centuries until idiotic Caucasian bigotry from Europe decided that they and their religion will rule the country. A decision that to this day has never sought or obtained the democratic consent of the sovereign indigenous people. It is simply a vile dictatorship. Therefore, it's time to end the promotion of the religious bigotry that has brought all the 8 years of human suffering. They have failed with peace, and start building one democracy for all. And that is the most promising guarantee of peace and security, including across the Middle East and by extension across the whole world. Thank you, and please share.